It's break time. Welcome to our newest episode. It's your co-host, Rissy, right?
Hey.
And yours truly, Kaninja. So today we're going to be talking about the double standard.
Ba-ba-bum.
So this was a great topic that Rissy, you brought up. So give us a little bit of background on this.
Boom. So we're going to story time. Boom. Okay. So last week, I had a conversation with a guy and we were just talking about life and things like that. And he was just saying, like, being a woman is easy. And I'm just like, no, it's not. Don't you see the movement? It's definitely shown that being a female is harder. He's like, okay, he said for certain things, like, yeah, it's obvious. But he was like, there's certain things that people don't talk about. And he was like, there are double standards for men. And I hear that all the time. But every time I hear it, it's more of like, oh, you have it hard? Well, I do too. Whenever I hear someone say double standards for men. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, give me an example. Because right now I'm biased and I'm right and I don't see it. Type deal. And so he was like, well, we'll check this out. Your feelings, right? There's so many groups, Facebook groups. It's like there's so many women empowerment groups and like women empowerment groups, women speak your feelings, things like that. And I was like, yeah, because we've been silenced. Okay. So yeah, he's like, no, what I mean is, he's like, no, your feelings. Women, you are able to freely speak about your feelings. I'm like, yeah, because we've been oppressed. And he's like, no, okay, we understand that. Okay, cool. How many men group do you see where they really express your feelings? And I'm like, I don't see it, but I'm not looking for it either. And he's like, because it's not really a safe place. For him, he started to explain that for men, it is very hard to talk about your feelings as men. And he was explaining that the environment, the world today, or just in general, doesn't allow for men to be sensitive, because if you are sensitive or talk about your feelings, you are weak. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ooh. Mm-hmm. But I was like, but let me know how you feeling so I know how to move. He's like, but that's not every woman, counterpart, female, whatever. Right. That's not how a lot of women see, despite all this information of being open and tell me how you feel, when we do open our mouths, sometimes that's used against us. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, that sucks. And so so we end up just talking more about it. Mm-hmm. And he was just saying, for example, let's say you have a problem at work. And I'm like, okay, that's just an example. He's like, okay, let's say you have a problem at work, and we both had equally long days. But as a masculine dude or whatever, if you had a bad day, I'm supposed to sit there and listen. I'm like, yeah, of course I had a bad day. He's like, that's not reciprocated a lot of times to men, that when we have a bad day, we don't listen. I'm like, well, you don't have anything to say. Exactly, because we don't feel comfortable expressing our feelings. Because if we express our feelings, we are weak. So I'm not going to go and talk about my day. And I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, you know what? Maybe there's some truth to double standards for men. Because again, in my mind, it's just life is hard for everybody. So, what you mean? Like, when I hear someone say double standard for men, like, well, life is hard for everybody. Like, huh? So I felt that was very interesting, that men do not consistently have a space to express their feelings. Mm-hmm. without being judged, like how I can go and tell you what I'm going through in a toxic situation, what are my thoughts, my kids and stuff. And we always say this is an open space. This is a safe room. But that is not promoted a lot, to say, hey, men, this is a safe room. And if there is, it's not, it's not a lot of resources to say promoting that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's one double standard that I ran across this week.
Right. I can see that, especially like, it's not a safe space for a man to speak about their feelings without having someone else make them feel less of a man, you know, and it goes on to what is a definition of a man? You know, what's the definition of a woman? Like, let's take biology and, you know, the actual physicality of everything out of it. But like, when you say, oh, be a man, what does that mean? So like, Rissy, when I ask you, what does it mean when someone says be a man? How do you describe that?
A problem solver.
She's being
Fix it.
fix it. So be strong, be confident, be decisive to fix it, to fix things, you know,
Yeah.
all those kinds of things. And a lot of that takes on a lot of strength, a lot of, you know, mental strength to be the protector of the family, to be, you know, just to take care of everything, to basically be the shoulder that everyone can cry on, or whatever the case. They shoulder all that burden, you know, and that's what you need to be as a man. You need to be strong and be strong like rock, strong like boulder, and don't crack. Well, that doesn't give a man any sort of leeway to say, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling hurt, my feelings are hurt, you know, or I need a hug, or anything along those lines. And they're just as human as anyone else, you know, and having that physical sensitivity is definitely needed. But when they say to certain women, I'm feeling sad today, the reaction is, well, get over it. Or what do you got to be sad about? You know, or what do you want me to do about this? You know, so it's taken not as seriously as when a woman's saying, I'm feeling sad today. It's like, oh, okay, well, come here, give me a hug. Let me console you and all that.
Yeah, let me rub your back. Like, yes, thank you. Like, oh, let me rub your feet. Thank you. Where did I find you?
But now, if you think about it, if, let's say, a different way of thinking about this, if a man comes home from work and they're having a hard day, and a woman says, hey, I know you're having a hard day, let me rub your feet. What's the feeling of that?
Oh, like she a servant. Like this is my old school.
But when a man does that for a woman,
he's perfect.
He's perfect.
He's a perfect. He's a perfect.
So
yes.
Or like, okay, for example, a man walks a woman to their door. He's a gentleman. A woman walks a man to their door. What's he gotta be afraid?
World. Okay.
What's he gotta be afraid of? Is he afraid?
What's he scared of? Like, is this key not in his hand right now? Like, come on, it's time to go.
Exactly. So it's just like, even just those type of double standards are there when it comes to, you know, a man likes to feel just as safe as a woman wants to feel just as safe. Yes, there's a lot of external environmental factors that make a woman feel less safe than a man, but it doesn't mean that a man does not want to feel safe. So I totally get it.
Right, because that is because I have a little brother, you know, and you have an older sib. So you understand, like, to us, because we have older sibs and stuff. I mean, we have brothers that, you know, if my brother was having a bad day, he could talk to me, and yours as well. So it's interesting how when like I said, the conversation I had with that person where he was like, I have to provide solutions, but nobody wants to give me solutions. I'm like, really? And then his spirit said, yes. When something is not going right or whatever, a hiccup is going on, it's like, are you going to fix it? Like the buck stops at you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's kind of stressful. I said, that's kind of stressful. I'm like, hey, I got this problem. Give me about 2 to 3 business days. And let me try to figure out what I need to do.
We do some math.
Right. Or another thing, like dating, right? Mm-hmm. For men, double standard. At one point I moved back home with my parents. Mm-hmm. To me, anyone who meets me and they're like, okay, you have a child and you move back home. You're getting yourself together, right? Like, it's already like you're making moves, okay? Yeah, I'm trying to get myself together. And then you're like, oh yeah, hey, it happens, right?
Mhm.
A dude and his kid lives at home with his parents, like, oh, you just some moocher. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
ain't garbage.
Yeah. I mean, also look at this too. Like in that situation, Rissy, a man will be more likely to will be still probably just as likely to go out with you, even if you lived at home with a kid. But if you look at it, would a woman go out with a man if he lived still with his parents?
With the
You know,
kid in the
with a
house.
kid?
I'll be like,
You ain't
very
still.
less like we talk about that 0.00 I 0.00 I could do by myself. I'm gonna do it anyway. Like those type of situations where like, F it. Let me just try. Like I'm gonna try something different. That was a long-term thing.
Right. Right, exactly. So like when you look at a guy for prospective future partner, you look at him with a certain set of criteria, right? Typically a woman does. Like what kind of criteria would you look at a man for a future partner?
He can't be fat. Over it. Over it. And I don't know which episode this is going to talk about. Cannot have a gut.
I was thinking more about stability. Financial stability, mental stability.
He gotta have a car. Sorry. He has to have a car. He gotta have a car. He has to work. And working, this is the thing. I don't care that you're an entrepreneur or you work a 9 to 5 or a mixture of the two. I need to make sure that you pay your bills and you're saving every month.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not paying your bills and saving every month, this is not going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
For me. So if you have to, I had a conversation with somebody. If I'm talking to you about bills and you're saying, well, what if a bill came up and you have to take away this, pay Piper, pay Paul to pay. No, then you can't talk to me. Because then either you need a new job or we need to figure out to lessen your bills.
Mm-hmm.
If you gotta.
How would you think if a man, would think if that man that we're looking at is a woman? Would he even be thinking that?
Oh.
So we have as women, we have a lot of expectation on what a man needs to have in order to be our prospective partner. But I don't know if men really has that type set criteria for us to be a prospective partner for them. I think more or less our looks are a little bit more important, I think, than anything else to men, but that's only my assumption.
It's right, Kaninja, because you be like, well, why are you with her? And they're like, oh, because she got big booty. And I'm like, and she's bisexual, so we can do threesomes. And I'm like, but what else? Like,
she lives on the street. That's okay.
Like, mind you, that was a real life conversation I had with somebody. I was like, so why you want to be with? Well, she cooks, she cleans. I'm like, okay, she has to feed herself and she has to clean. Okay, I mean, like, I get it because not everybody can do it. So I'm like, okay. And then he was like, yeah, she got big booty. Okay, that's good. That's great. And she's bisexual, so we can have threesomes. And I'm like, is that like how high? That is super high. Like, I was like, whoa.
Yes, exactly. So
that's all he needed. That's all he needed.
Exactly. So even the expectations on each other is kind of a double standard if you think about it.
Which is fine, by the way. That can be a preference. I'm not dumbing down people's, like what they want in a person. Never. But at the time, he was complaining about other issues like not being motivated to finish school. Okay, like like when we were doing a T chart, and he was like, "Well, she's not motivated." I'm like, "Okay, so why are we're doing a T chart? Cons are definitely killing it right now. Why are you with her?" Yes, because these things.
These trump it all. Big booty, threesome.
And I was like, but all these cons you have. And he's like, but this is what's holding me on. I don't want to let her go. And I'm like, I was like, okay. Like I said, you can have whatever criteria you guys want, but that was a situation where I was like, are you gonna stay or are you gonna leave? Because I'm confused. I'm a little bit confused right now. Because you said she's not motivated. Oh, she wasn't motivated, or she was not good with money. And I said, hold on. Well, you know, like, again, their criteria is different. Very different.
Now let's think
not
about
super different, but just is the importance, because every woman, like, generally speaking, counterparts, you're looking for stability.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't say stability. They mainly say other things, like, to kind of compensate for the for stability. Lord have mercy.
Now let's look at another situation, a little bit more serious: domestic violence. So if a woman is hitting a man, how does people look at that?
You know, prior to, like, against my ignorance, my mom was just like, how could she hit you? How could she hit you and you just stay there? Well, I mean, I guess that's on the side for both sides, but my view of it was like, at the time, I was like, well, if she did that, there was a reason why she hit you.
Right.
At the time. Because I'm like, for a woman to even, at the time, again, I felt like for a woman to put their hands on somebody who's clearly bigger and all this other stuff, they are overly upset.
But at the end of the day, they have reason to do it, right?
They have a reason to do it.
We never said it wasn't okay. We said there's a reason why she did it. A reason why he got hit. If a man hits a woman,
he's dead. He's just so chauvinistic. He over here he don't care about people's lives. Like, how dare he?
Exactly. It's his wrong. Doesn't matter the reason, because he shouldn't have done it in the first place. You know, regardless of the reason. So there's already, like, you know, now, like, Rissy, you and I think a little differently. Like, we shouldn't be hitting each other anyway. You know, we should be talking about this as, like, adults and having a conversation about this. If we want to hit each other, we should walk away. You know, whatever the case. You know, regardless if it's the woman that wants to hit the man, or regardless, you know, they should walk away. You know, but there was a lot of that double standard because of the past, right? About domestic abuse when it came from men to women and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, a lot of people felt like it's okay for a woman to hit a man, but it's not okay for a man to hit a woman. And a lot of men did speak up about it, but a lot of men probably don't feel good to speak up about it, because they're just like, we're going to get attacked, because we're going to be looked at as if it's okay to hit a woman. It's like, no, but we don't want to get hit. We don't want to get hurt, you know, but you should be strong enough to take a hit, because women are biologically weaker than men. Okay, then you should be able to take this hit. You shouldn't hit a man anyway, because what if you're up against, like, an Amazon or whatever the case, or a woman who knows how to fight? I'm fairly strong for my own self. You know I can hurt someone, you know, and if I hit someone, like, oh, you shouldn't hit me back, you know, because of this. Like, yes, a man should not hit a woman back, but a woman should not hit the man either. You know, it's wrong for a woman to hit the man. But if the man hits the woman back, in my own perspective, I still think that's wrong either way.
We're gonna agree to disagree.
We're gonna agree to disagree on that one.
Because if you ready to put hands, because think about when let's say if I'm fighting another female, I don't know how strong they are. But whatever has occurred where I said I'm not even factoring it, I'm going for it. You know what I'm saying? Just like when get ready to get hit. If you get touched, you go. I mean, that's how. Because again, I have my little brother, and if you put hands on my little brother, I mean, that's just how I feel. Like, hey, and don't get surprised. Like, oh my God, he hit me. Yes, don't touch. But again, it goes to the fact of don't touch nobody.
Yes, don't touch.
Because there are men that I've met who won't hit a woman, and because of that, which is I think is BS, when the chick knows, obviously we're talking about a toxic individual. We're not talking about a regular degular person, because regular
Right.
degular people don't be putting hands on them because they're like, I'd rather go home than go to jail.
Right.
And if we are both living together, I'll just go to my parents' house, or I'll just ride around. I will go get a hotel. I'll put it different. There's so many options
Yep.
that I can do to avoid this even escalating. I could just go somewhere.
Right.
But like I met some guys who they won't hit. That's just what it is. So they'll have women who will just hit on them, scratch them. I had one dude. He told me that his ex bit his ear. Like, arr! Yes. I said, what the what? And he was a big dude. So I think she told him to leave. Like, he said, I need to tell you something. Like, in an argument, he leaned over to tell her. He's like, arr! I said, what the what?
Like bite marks and everything?
Like, homie.
Wow.
Now, I met guys who got in their ear, like their arms bit or scratched and all other stuff. And I'm just like, this is too much. This is why I'm single. I'm like, this is too much right here.
Yeah.
But again, this the best of people hitting.
Yeah.
It's like she hits, there has to be a reason he does it. You're an animal.
Yeah.
That needs to be locked up.
Exactly. Exactly. But there's a lot of those kinds of things that, like, when we think about it, we think the woman is in the right because of the movement that we have. And, you know, there's a lot of leeway that women have, which is good. I'm glad that there is, the pendulum is swinging. You know, when you think about it, back in the day, the pendulum was one way, where the man was controlling and abusive and all this other stuff. Now the pendulum is swinging the other way, where, you know, now the woman has more power, you know, still working on the power, right? There's not like always all the power, but more times than not, the man is wrong. You know, so it's not all the way to the side. So the pendulum is starting to swing one way or another as we continue, like, with the society that we have. You know, so you're starting to see more of that double standard going the opposite direction. You know, so men are starting to see it now on how women always went through back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're starting to feel why women had to be like, well, women empowerment, listen to us, we're being oppressed. Because back in the day, women, if they were upset, they were in a state asylum. You know, now if men are upset, we're like, get over it. You're not being strong enough. You're not a man. You know, that's not right. That's not right. We're doing the same thing similarly than what men used to do to women back in the day. You know, and so, no, I don't think it's right with the double standard. It happens, unfortunately, you know, and I think a lot of times women feel like they're due this extra, I guess, leeway or flexibility.
A cushion is nice, but I'm not super feminine. I'm like that, right? Like, yeah, I need you to open my door for me. Thank you. If we've been out a couple times, I'll pay the bill one time.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that, so I can feel like I can contribute. Okay, let me swipe. Like, you know, like.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm all about women empowerment, but I do like to be treated. You know,
yeah, like contribute. Okay. I can do tip. Like, you know, like just little stuff like that. And I was like, wow. So I'm not sure if, you know, how our listeners would feel about the double standard for men, but that's definitely what we saw in domestic violence, feelings, what else? What do we talk about?
We talked about just normal stereotypical men situations, like walking to the door or being a gentleman, and this is the definition of a man. You know,
like gender norms.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we are getting close to the end of time. So within your 30 seconds, definitely give us your final thoughts, but also give us some advice as well. So I'm going to give you a little extra wiggle room with some advice for men, but also for women as well when it comes to the double standard.
Yes. Double standards, unfortunately, it's there. And we just got to live and just make sure that we treat people appropriately. treat people fairly. And what I say to that is use the mirror method. That's what I use it for. If I expect a dude to have a car, I need to have a car. If I expect a dude to have a house, I need to have a house. And I feel like with the standard that I created for myself, it made me look at myself and see what value I have, what things that I can, aspire to be, and goal oriented. Because to me, it doesn't make sense that I'm expecting you to have a house, not an apartment, a house and 2 cars, and I'm over here paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because then what value do I have as a person, not mom, as a person? And then again, it puts the other person, because that helps with life. I don't know, whatever. That's just how I feel. Use the mirror method when you're doing, and are you okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my little bit. Oh, that's so over. That's very sad.
No, you're good. So I love that though, the mirror method. I think that's like the first time I really heard of it, like that name though, with the mirror method. So, but I love that though. It's kind of like the treat others the way you want to be treated, and it's basically I feel the same way, when it comes to the gender norms. Like if you want to be treated like a queen, then treat them like a king. If you want to be treated out, for them to pay certain things, then you give them what they find value, that you pay for certain things, and so on and so forth. We're swinging with the pendulum. We need to get to a point where we're in the middle, where we are just equal partners. That's what we really want to be at. And so we have to treat each other as if we are equal partners, regardless of our gender. And so that's something that I feel like we can strive towards if we use the mirror method, or treat others the way you want to be treated, regardless of what gender you are. Everyone can be sensitive. Everyone can have emotions. Everyone can have a bad day or a good day, and they are fully able and valid to express those, regardless of who you are. So that was my 30 seconds. I know it was a lot more than 30 seconds. So please make sure to like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and share your thoughts and what your feedback is around not the gender norms, but more or less the double standard when it comes to men. And our break room buddies that are men out there, let us know if there are any other double standards that you guys can think of, and if we've gotten anything wrong. And let us know what you have gotten as a definition of what a man is. That is definitely very telling when people say a man is XYZ, XYZ, when really a man is that biologically you are a man, or however you feel. So also make sure you follow us on our Instagram, our Facebook, and our Twitter. We usually put our updates out on there. And
I'm early.
Let us know what your thoughts were. So with that, bye, break room buddies.
Bye.
See you next time.